Back to school season is officially upon us, and today I'm going to be sharing with you my everyday school makeup. And I use that because I'm 23.
Oh, damn!
And I'm not in school. But if I was, this is the makeup look I would be doing, okay? I would love to say this is the makeup look I did when I was at school, but it was a hot mess. So I'm making this video for past Chloe and anyone else who's at school who has no idea what they're doing, maybe is a beginner to makeup, and just wants to feel their best without putting in an extreme amount of work or spending an extreme amount of money. Yes, this is going to be an affordable makeup routine. I'm using all drugstore products, apart from maybe a few brushes, but again, they are not necessary. Any brush that kind of looks similar will work the same. I will leave some options in the description. And yeah, so I hope that you find this video useful. Let's get started, shall we? Okay, before we get into any makeup, the first most important thing we do is prep our skin. I would argue that skin prep is probably the most important factor to how your makeup applies and how it wears throughout the day. Now, you can do whatever skincare you want before you apply your makeup. That's kind of personal preference, but the two products I would recommend, and for me, non-negotiable when doing my makeup, is a moisturizer and an SPF. Okay, I have very dry skin, so I like to use the Avene Restorative and Protective Cream. This is really hydrating, especially if you're prone to like your skin flaking under your makeup. But if you are slightly on the more oily side, definitely don't skip moisturizer. I made that mistake for the longest time. Like, oily skin is one of those things, like, don't get me wrong, people can have it throughout their whole lives, but for me, my skin was so oily in my teen years, and then as soon as I hit my 20s, my skin just dried up. But if you are more oily and you don't want a really thick, heavy moisturizer, I would definitely recommend something like the Neutrogena. There's somebody using a power saw, I'm really sorry if you can hear that. I would recommend something like the Neutrogena Water Gel Cream or the Aveeno Oat Gel Moisturizer, I believe. They're going to have more of a gel-like texture, so it's going to be absorbed into the skin a lot better, and it's not kind of going to deliver as much hydration as something like this that has a very heavy consistency to it. Also, sorry if I'm looking over there, there's a mirror so I can actually see what I'm doing. Okay, now our skin is all hydrated, I'm going to go in with an SPF. To me, this is a non-negotiable, especially because I use actives on my skin. I mean, you should be using SPF anyway, but especially if you use any actives like retinoids or acids or anything like that, you want to be using sun cream even in the winter. So I'm going to go in with this SPF from Neutrogena. This is actually quite new to me. I have been really liking it. I got it as a little freebie in something that I ordered, and I will definitely be purchasing the full size because I am loving it. It's so lightweight and it doesn't feel, I don't know, I feel like sometimes certain sun creams can be like really heavy on the skin and like greasy, oily rather than hydrating, whereas this feels like my skin drinks it up and it's not just like slipping and sliding on the surface, you know? Okay, this next step is totally optional, but something I like to do before I start my makeup is go in with a plumping lip gloss so that it can kind of be working while I'm doing my makeup, and then I can take it off and put my lip products on, so I'm not just like going about my day with my lips burning. So I'm gonna go in with the Maybelline plumping gloss. This is in the shade Red Flag. It doesn't really matter what shade because we're going to be taking it off anyway, but these are really great. They do hurt a little bit, but they're worth it. I have very small lips, so every little bit helps, you know? Okay, I've zoomed you in a little bit, so hopefully you can see what I'm doing a little bit better. I'm going to first go in with the L'Oreal True Match Foundation. This stuff is amazing. It is the perfect coverage for me. It gives enough without looking cakey, but it's also hydrating without being greasy. It's like that Goldilocks type thing. It's a Goldilocks foundation. I use the shade 2R2C Cool Rose. It might be a little bit light for me at the minute because summer's just ended and I think I've still got a little bit of a tan.
So you wouldn't know that because you're white as a ghost. You're haunting this house with your whiteness, Brian.
And the main thing I would say with doing your makeup, and the mistake I see a lot of people make, is they go straight on their face with their products. And the way that I understand it is if you're like painting a picture, you usually don't put the paint straight on the canvas and then just go from there because it's kind of hard to get that control. So you will see in this video, I put pretty much everything on the back of my hand first to give me control about how much product is going on my face. So I have just put the foundation on the back of my hand, and then I'm going to go in with...
Oh my god, what is that?
sorry, I got a message. I'm gonna go in with a very densely packed brush. This one I believe I got from Superdrug. It's like the Superdrug own brand makeup brush, but I really like it because it has very like compact bristles. So it's gonna pick up a lot of product and it's gonna blend it out beautifully. So I'm just gonna smush this into the brush to really make sure like it's covering all the bristles. And this is going to stop you from kind of applying a big dollop onto your face, which is going to be a little bit hard to blend out, and it's going to kind of give you a bit of an uneven coverage. So once I've kind of got that covered, I like to just start at the bottom and just tapping this in. I'm gonna have to get another mirror because I can't see. That one is really far away. So, and you're just going to want to tap this in gently because we want to give that natural skin look. We don't want it to be too heavy. Yeah, it's definitely a little bit light for me, but it's fine. We will bronze her up. It's fine. Now I'm just going to keep this on the areas that I feel I need it. I'm going to stay away from the eyes at the moment because I'm going to go in with concealer there. And I feel like sometimes if you have too much product around the eyes, you are very prone to creasing because there is a lot of movement in your eyes throughout the day. And also it's a thinner skinned area, so it is more prone to like fine lines and stuff. So I try to just save that area for concealer. I find that's how I get the least cakiest under eye. So I've just done half my face so you can see the difference. It still looks like my skin, just better. I mean, ignoring the fact it is slightly light for me. You can see that glow is still peeking through, but it's given me enough coverage to kind of even out my skin. So we have like a blank canvas to work with. I'm gonna have to get some more, but maybe in a different shade. Okay, after we finished blending out the foundation, I'm gonna go in with concealer. I'm gonna go in with the L'Oreal True Match Radiant Serum Concealer. I often find if you go in with a concealer that is the same line as whatever foundation you're using, they tend to marry together a little bit better. And again, instead of going straight in under your eyes and everywhere and just depositing way too much product, we're gonna go on the back of our hand. Trust me, the back of our hand is going to look like a paint palette by the time we finish this. But I swear, it just gives you so much better control. And then I'm just going to grab this very flat, densely packed brush. This is actually from Spectrum Cosmetics, but you can use any brush really. Just aim for one that is kind of, I feel like the camera's not picking this up very well. Very flat, very densely packed, so we can kind of tap and blend and pat in that concealer. Throw in the brushes. And then again, I'm just going to kind of employ the same logic of just blending it into the brush. And then I'm just going to use a mirror and see the areas where I feel like I need it. So any areas of redness, and then of course like under the eyes and stuff. So this is great for like any blemishes or anything. A little tip, if you have like a particularly angry blemish or an area that you feel like needs more coverage, I would take the concealer on the brush and I would just go in and very lightly dab and leave the concealer unblended. Wait for it to dry down a bit and then blend it. Usually when you leave a product to dry, you're really going to see that coverage increase. Okay, and then you can just kind of go in with the foundation brush and just kind of make sure use very, very light motion, like tapping motion, and just make sure everything kind of blends seamlessly together and you don't have like any areas of unblended concealer or any like lines from the brush. Okay, fabulous. Now, if your foundation shade matches you perfectly and you don't feel like this step is necessary, then you can skip it. But obviously we can see she's not matching as great, especially in the mirror. I don't know about how it's showing on camera, but in the mirror it's not matching as great as I'd like it to. So I'm gonna go in with the Essence Baby Got Bronze. This is I would consider it to be a dupe for the...
It was at this moment that he knew he f***ed up.
I just dropped that on my white sheet. Oh. How did I even do that? Anyways, and we'll sort that after. Just change my bed as well. Oh, anyways, this I would consider it to be a dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury bronzing wand, just based on like how the applicator looks. But again, what did I say? We're gonna go in on, oh my god, that was so much. A little warning that I always forget with this product, it comes out so quickly. And then I'm just gonna blend it out with this dense fluffy brush from Morphe. I would love to tell you what number it was, but I've had them so long now that the numbers have rubbed off. So, and then I'm just going to drag that in. I like to sometimes use my knuckles to like make sure that I'm really getting the product into the brush. And then just go on the areas where the sun would naturally hit. So I'm gonna just kind of go on my cheekbone area like that. just kind of add a bit more dimension back into my face and colour. And then I'm just going to go in and do the same to the other side, just kind of along the cheekbones, adding in that colour. And then I'm going to take some on my nose, because again, is where the sun would naturally hit. And then the last remaining bit, I'm just going to take on my forehead. I feel like I should have put my hair back properly for this, because these little pieces are driving me crazy. Okay, there we go. She looks a little bit more alive. Okay, before I go in with powder, I'm just going to quickly do my brows. Now, I feel like brows are such a personal thing. For me, I made a mess of my brows when I was at school, so I would have to spend ages every day like filling them in. And I think that just deeply bothered me so much that in my adult years, I cannot be bothered to do anything with my eyebrows. So what I do, the bare minimum, is I go in with a brow gel. This is the NYX Brow Glue. She's a little bit gross now, but this is just gonna help us keep our brows in place so they're not like flying about everywhere all day. I'm just gonna take this through my eyebrows, brushing them up slightly. You really don't need a lot of this because it does what it says in the tin. It really is like brow glue. Now again, this is personal preference, but I like to go in with a brow pencil and just kind of add some strokes to those more sparse areas. This is the Maybelline Express Brow. I don't know whether that's gonna... There we go. I love this brow pencil for the fact that it is so fine that you can really get those hair-like strokes that look super natural. I often find this is like slightly around where like the tail of my eyebrow is, or the arch, because it doesn't want to grow there. Okay, there we go. Next, I'm gonna go in with powder. Can you guess what line? This is the L'Oreal True Match. You would have guessed. Pressed powder. This is in the lightest shade there is. What? Oh. And I actually like to use the powder puff that comes with it. I find that it gives this really airbrushed look. So I just like to go in. This is the one product we're not going to put on the back of our hands. Well, maybe that and mascara. But I'm just kind of going to press this in, give a little tap off the excess, and then just press this into the areas where I want to set. Now these are going to be areas where you are prone to getting oily, or areas where your makeup is prone to moving. So especially around the mouth, if you're going to be like eating and talking and stuff, you want to make sure you're setting around there. And then also the eye area. As we said, that area can be quite prone to creasing, so we want to make sure that it is staying in place and not collecting in little lines and creases. So I like to also put this on either side of my nose. That's where I tend to get oily, I'm not sure why. And then also in like the little creases of my nose. I love like a powder puff. I feel like it gives that more airbrushed finish than a brush. But if you prefer, you can just take a brush and go in and tap it in. I just find that I get a lot better control using a powder puff. So I'm going to do the forehead because, again, I don't want it to be extremely shiny. And you see, like, automatically how it looks like I've got a filter on those areas of my face. Like, it just smooths it out. It's insane. And then I'm going to go in with the under eye. And what I like to do is take my finger and just tap out any of those creases that might have formed while we were doing the other steps of our makeup, just to make sure it's super smooth before I go in and powder it, because we don't want to set those creases in place. And then pull your mascara face and just set underneath like so. And that, like I said, is gonna make such a big difference to the overall brightness and liftedness of your face as well. Like I'll show you in a second when I've properly pressed this in, how much more lifted this area looks compared to there. Like, isn't that insane? And I'm gonna do the same to my other eye. I'm gonna tap out the creases and then go in with the powder. Again, we want to be using like pressing motions, like pressing the powder into the skin. We don't want to be dragging, because that's just going to move the makeup that's underneath and kind of ruin all of that lovely work we did. So, and then I just take the kind of remaining on the nose. I don't like to put too much powder on my nose. Sometimes I feel like it can get kind of cakey there, so I'm just taking whatever's remaining and just pressing that in on the nose area. Okay, I've set my face. The only place I haven't done yet is my eyelids, and that is because I like to go in with a brush and the powder, and I like to use a very like dense fluffy brush. And again, the same process, tap out the creases and then go in with the powder on a brush. I am the most prone to creasing on my eyelids for some reason. So I found that using a very densely packed brush like this and just really pressing in the powder around where I'm typically prone to creasing, really make sure that I do not crease throughout the day. So that is a good hack if you tend to notice your eyelids creasing, is take whatever powder you use, whether it's pressed, whether it's loose, and just really make sure you are tapping it in with a brush and setting that area as best we can. And then same to the other side. Now we've set the face, we can go in with our powder products. So I'm going to first go in with the Buttermelt blush from NYX. This is in the shade For the Butter, and this stuff, it is pigmented. So let this be your warning. Be very, very careful with the amount that you're using, because you're going to look like a clown if you go in too heavy-handed. So I'm going to take this big fluffy brush from Morphe as well. This one, again, is very dense but very round and fluffy. And I'm just gonna tap into the powder and then, have you guessed? Take it on your hand. Look at how much came off then. This is just gonna give us a lot better control how much we put on. Look at that already. Are you kidding? That's insane. And I like to just pat this in around, and then I just like to take this on the perimeter of my face. I do like to bring it up because I do feel like it gives that more lifted look when you cut that blush to your temples. But I like to just place it on my cheekbones. It just adds that kind of warmth to the face. Go in to the other side and just tap that in. And then I do also like to add a little bit to the nose. Again, that is definitely personal preference. I know some people that hate that, but I think it looks cute. So when I look like we're blushing, blush is done. I'm going to go in with highlight now. I find that with powder products, in terms of longevity of wear, I seem to get more out of it, if you get what I mean. So I'm going to go in with the Bella Pierre Ultra Glow palette. This was something I discovered by accident, and I feel like Bella Pierre is not really a brand you hear a lot about, but these two shades here, life-changing. So I like to go in with I think this is like an eyeshadow brush. This is from NYX, but I like it for highlight. I find that I have really good control over it based on the size. It's quite a small, round, fluffy brush. I like to go in with this shade. It doesn't name the shades, but it is the second to lightest shade in the palette, and I just tap that and again on the back of my hand to make sure that I'm not going in too heavy-handed. And I love this because it gives you that glow without being super in your face glittery. It's just really going to add that sort of natural illumination to the face. And I just take this on the areas where the light naturally hits, as you can see there, and I just tap and do little swiping motions, blend it in. I take it up into my brow bone as well. I feel like, again, this is more of a personal thing based on your own face shape. If you just stand in front of a light or the window and just see where the light naturally hits and just add to those places, like you see how just that gave my face so much more dimension. And then the same to the other side, just taking that on to the cheekbone and the areas where it naturally hits, and again up into my brow bone like that. And then I also like to add some to the very tip of my nose and my cupid's bow, like that. Fabulous. And then with the lightest shade in the palette, I like to go in with a like very tiny flat brush, and I just take that. Again, this is very pigmented, so be careful. Less, you can always add, you can't take away. So that's kind of philosophy that I use. And then I like to take this on my inner corner. This, again, I just feel like, especially for school makeup, it's gonna make you look way more awake than perhaps you feel. So I like to take this on the very inner corner of my eye. You see how pigmented that is? I just tap it in the very center of my inner corner. And then I take a little bit and I like to blend it out so it doesn't look like such a little dot of highlight. It looks more like, oh, this area is really naturally bright, like that. And then what I also like to do is take a little bit on the brush and drag it on the inner part of my lower lash line. Again, it's just going to make your eyes look a lot more awake and open, like that. Like, look how much more open this eye looks than this one. It looks like she slept for 12 hours, you know? And then I'm just going to do the same to the other side, inner corner, and then blend it out on the eyelid a little bit so it's not so harsh. And then along the lower lash line, and try not to poke yourself in the eye like I just did. Whew. On to our second to last step, which is mascara. So I like to go in with an eyelash curler and just curl my eyelashes. I feel like this is self-explanatory. And I just like to pulse the eyelash curler. And again, be super gentle with this. The amount of people I know who have ripped their eyelashes out with an eyelash curler is astounding and terrifying in equal measures. So make sure you're being very gentle, and instead of yanking the eyelash curler straight away, just open it gently and take it. Don't pull. That is the last thing we want. And then I'm gonna go in with my favorite mascara of all time, like drugstore or high-end, the L'Oreal Lash Paradise. This stuff is amazing. It is the waterproof one, and I think this is great for school because if you're doing sports or rubbing your eyes or crying in maths, it's gonna not move. And I also just think it really adds so much volume and lift and length to your lashes. I've been using this for years and I love it. And I like to take the mascara wand at like an angle. I find that when I do this, it helps keep the lashes separated and allows the brush to coat everyone instead of taking it and dragging it this way. I find sometimes that can cause them to clump. So if you find that your mascara clumps quite a lot, try using the brush on the end. Oh my gosh, that was scary. A big clump came off then. I need to get another one of these. It is starting to dry out, but I've had it for quite a while, so that's on me. There we go. Lashes are done. And then I'm just gonna take a tissue and wipe off that lip plumper we had on, just so we have like a nice clean lip to work with. Okay, fabulous. I'm gonna go in with the Maybelline Lifter Liner, I believe. This is in shade Player. Sorry, I've like sharpened her so much that the lid is covering the text. This is more of like a browny, nudie shade. Maybe not nude is the right word. It's quite like a pinky brown shade. You'll see what I mean. I'm not very good at explaining colours clearly. And I just kind of line my lips with that and not talk while I do it, else I'm gonna get it everywhere. And then what I like to do, instead of going in with like really heavy lipsticks, is I'll do a liner and then I'll take a regular lip balm. This is just the Nivea Shine one in the watermelon scent. It smells lovely. And I just blend out the lip liner with the lip balm. And this way, it's adding that colour to your lips without super heavy lipstick product that could move, especially if you are talking. And I just find that this stops my lips from getting dry and chapped. So there we go, a very like nice, natural colour. And last but not least, I'm gonna go in with the Revolution Pout Lip Oil. This shade looks really scary, but I promise you it's really not as dark as it looks in the packet. This is amazing. I find this is so much better than a gloss because it's not sticky at all, and it is so incredibly hydrating and it goes on so smooth. The way I'd explain it is like rubbing melted butter on your lips. It's just gonna give you that kind of shine and healthy looking lips without being super sticky and messy. And it's just great to carry in your bag in the day to apply to keep your lips hydrated. And there we go, that is the finished look. I hope you found this tutorial useful. Let me know if you have any questions. All the products I used in this video will be linked down below. And whether you're going back to school, college, university, whatever, I wish you the best of luck this academic year. Thank you so much for watching this video. Comment this emoji if you made it to this point, and I will see you in the next one.